The Science of the Mind by Ernest Holmes, July 3rd. When we are strong. John 5:19. The Son can do nothing of himself. We are strong only as we are in unity with good, which is God. But the Father showeth the Son, that is, it is revealed to us through the innermost parts of our being, that there is a complete unity, a perfect wholeness. As this concept of unity takes place, it brings with it great authority. The Father quickens the Son quickens whom he will. Here is a lesson in the practical application of the science of mind. As the subjective state of thought becomes unified with goodness and love, it automatically reflects these in whatsoever direction the thought goes. The tendency of this inner thought sets the tendency of the outward life. Let us make this plain. If one is not attracting good into his life, there is something wrong with his unconscious thinking. The subjective state of his thought is wrong. As the subjective state of his thought constitutes the sum total of his belief, it is his habitual attitude toward life and living. This inner thought content is the sole medium between the absolute and the relative, between causes and conditions. When his inner thought is clarified, that is, when it knows the truth, it will reinstate the outer man in peace, poise, health, and happiness. This inner thought becomes clarified as we unify with good. This is the inner quickening. Following this is the outer quickening, the outward sign of this inner belief. The word of power. John 5:26. As the Father has life, so the Son has life. Again, we have the teaching that there is but one life, mind, or spirit. This life is now our life, and manifests through us as we believe in it. When our word is spoken in this consciousness of life, power and action, then our word is life, power and action. The word has power only as it is one with power. The word is a mold which decides what form the thought is to take as it assumes shape and becomes a part of our conditions. Mental treatment is for the purpose of forming the word into such shapes and designs as are desirable for our experience. The word gives form to the unformed. The greater the consciousness behind the word, the more power it will have. Just words without conviction has no power, and just conviction without words will never stir up latent energy. There must be a combination of the two to make a complete thing. We are surrounded by a spiritual consciousness and a mental law. From the combination of these two, all things are made. We unify with the spiritual consciousness as we become aware of it. We speak it into form as we believe in the power of our own word. In treatment, there should be first a realization of power, then a spoken word. One generates, the other distributes. The meat which perisheth. John 6:27. Labor not for the meat which perisheth. Jesus knew that we need food to eat while in the flesh. So he could not be referring to literal food, but rather to the inner substance which is spiritual. Starvation takes place on more than one plane. More people are starved spiritually and intellectually than physically. A full stomach will never appease an appetite for learning, nor can a loaf of bread satisfy the inner craving for reality. The whole being needs to be fed, bread and meat for the body, knowledge and wisdom for the soul, atmosphere and consciousness for the spirit. We live on 3 planes at the same time. To attempt to desert any one of these, to the cost of the others, is abnormal. To live only on the physical plane is to become a brute. To live on the intellectual plane alone might produce a learned and a scientific man, but he would lack a true perception. To live only on the spiritual plane might cause one to become a dreamer without any practical way of making his dreams come true. The 3 planes of life. Man is a threefold principle of life and action. He is spirit, soul, and body. From the spirit, he receives inspiration and guidance. In the soul, he finds a perfect law of life. And through the body, he proves that he is a real individualization of the invisible principle. Man's mind should swing from inspiration to action, from contemplation to accomplishment, from prayer to performance. This would be a well-balanced existence. The spirit fires the soul with energy and understanding. The soul, which is the subjective mentality, vitalizes the body and animates all that we do. No greater mistake could be made than to think we must separate life from what it does. We must unify and not divide. The spirit must go forth into creation through law and action. Life must enter living, and God must flow through man. If there is to be a real representation of the divine through the human, let us feel that our purposes are animated, inspired from on high, and then let us go forth and make our dream come true in human experience. With an invisible intelligence to guide and an immutable law to direct, let us take our place in any legitimate activity and thus cause our dreams to come to full fruition.